Hey everybody, so today is day 4, which is the 18th of March, it's a Wednesday. So this is the updates that have been going on today. Wellington's doing, first of all, pretty decently overall. However, there has been a drop of individuals who are going out, so it is quite noticeable, particularly at my work as well. It's the number of people coming in and start being aware of what's going on, the social distancing, the spread of possibilities of contagion, not necessarily looking at more of, if I get it, how it's going to impact others. It's definitely raised a concern for us at work because, again, our work is not taking it serious enough. So I've been having talks with them because the staff are really worried of what if we get sick. That's going to spread to everybody else. And what happens then? So is it going to shut down? Is it not going to shut down? Is it, again, we're frontline, so we can pass it to customers. So it's a major implications, and we're not getting answers for that whatsoever right now because there hasn't been no communication, which is really, really worrisome that they're not planning for this or any possible outcomes or scenarios going forward. So it's really a worry, and it's I think really companies and organizations need to step up with this. So what's been going on in New Zealand? So the government has launched a major flu vaccine campaign to keep the hospital beds free. What this also has been including is that the hospitals are looking to cancel operations. So for electric surgeries, mainly for looking at necessities, so getting the ventilation equipment that is needed during those for people who actually really, really need it during these crises and pandemics, so that the hospitals are prepared and make sure the surgeons are going into there, and have the doctors are free pretty much. So I have a friend that also is a neurosurgeon in the hospitals, and so they're looking at saying, how do we actually make sure that they don't get sick themselves? And so they're looking at possible ways, saying, okay, there's a group that goes on for a week, and then for another week they're off, and another group comes in, so there isn't any cross-contamination or possible cross-contamination. So it's really looking at taking this serious and how to actually help individuals and what the resources that they currently have, since New Zealand definitely is short on from staff or doctors. That's part of our short essential skills list, and so we really, really need it. So this helps. One funny thing that's very, very Kiwi is that Bunnings has decided to stop all sausage sizzles for fundraisers. For those that don't know, Bunnings is kind of like like Home Depot, right? So that in the front they always have these sausage sizzles, so that people can raise money and funds for their organizations. And so that's usually on every weekend. There's something going on. So however, they've stopped that. That's kind of the front page news that we get in New Zealand. So the New Zealand also really urging overseas travelers to come back home while they can. So I have a friend that works in Air New Zealand. They've dropped 80% of all airlines. So there's only right now like twice a week going from Auckland to Sydney, and Christchurch to Sydney, and Auckland to LA, and that is it. So they're looking to lay off 3,400 staff now. So all these individuals are going to be not in that work. And so if you are abroad, you're going to have major issues trying to get back home to New Zealand. And probably you'll be here for a while, to be fair. We looking at repairs later on, like this is a good, this is a good opportunity to repair the Auckland runway, because it does need fixing. However, where's that money going to come from? People aren't going to be using the airlines, and so they can't actually invest into this restructure, and the government's not going to be paying out for this. It's not a priority So keep that in mind for traveling, that you're probably going to be here for a while and you will not be leaving, or you won't be able to get into the country. Pacific Islands, of course, are still there. Operations to get out there, but that's restricted in terms of who can go. So I'm just looking at my notes actually on my computer so I can read it to you. Getting distracted. So the cases are rising a lot. So yesterday we had 8 cases, and now we have 20, with outbreaks happening in Dunedin and Invercargill, and Auckland, not in Wellington. However, still the problem is actually testing to make sure that people are getting to see if they are positive. However, there's a limitation, so most likely there's a lot more. And with all the international travelers coming in, there is going to be more increases. So the one Maori are looking at ways of working around this with E-Tangis, and how to actually respond to this appropriately. The government is looking at recommending E-Tangis, and the tangi is a funeral. Usually it takes 3 days. However, with the outbreak, yeah, so you're just going to be spreading possible infections. And so how do you make it an online resource to be able to go through these procedures and be there? So that is it for day 3. Oh, and then schools still. The schools are preparing for also the e-learning and what that looks like, and possible restructures of how to go about going forward, because this is probably going to go for August, talking about maybe even Christmas or even next year. So this is a long-term effect, and it's going to hit us significantly, and how we interact with the social distancing and how our culture changes throughout this. Right now, you can still see people are biking by still, doing their thing. It is a beautiful day out. A bit cold. It is getting into winter though. But I live way up there. So, but yeah, people aren't going to be wanting to go out. So it's a bit cautious. I did go out to a restaurant last night with a friend of mine. That's all we talked about is these, and it's funny because retail for me, my mate is a small business owner and selling food. I have a mate that the neurosurgeon, the Air New Zealand, and one working at MB, which is Ministry of Business and Innovation, and they are flat out. Says we really have to look at how to innovate through this, and you have to look at it now. So businesses that are not looking at it need to ramp up, otherwise they're going to be hit, and they're not being creative enough in order to work through this process. So. So good on you guys. Keep up, do the social distancing, be hyper vigilantly aware of how you're touching your face and the cleaning process. We now know also that it can last for 3 hours in the air for large drops. So you take precautions, go out when you need. I still don't think New Zealanders are really hitting it quite yet, but it will come. So stay safe, guys.